What does the game Those Nights at Rachel's hide off camera from the player? Those Nights at Rachel's was an iconic FNAF fan game from many years ago, where the player must survive multiple nights at Doug's and Rachel's, an establishment similar to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Now, unlike the early FNAF games where the environments are pre-rendered images, Those Nights at Rachel's takes place in a full 3D environment. Our character just can only move back and forth in a limited capacity. So as you may have guessed, there's quite a lot hidden off camera and out of bounds. So I hope you enjoy this breakdown. As always, I'd like to do a very quick recap so that everyone remembers the game as much as possible. Every night, our character sits between two computer monitors, one that allows us to check on the cameras, and the other that gives us the status on our power level and closes doors. We must watch two of the doors to make sure animatronics don't make it inside. We can also hide under the desk if somehow two animatronics show up at the same time. We have a flashlight we can use to illuminate the two hallways, and of course, we must also run to a separate room to ensure the curtains stay closed around a very mysterious box. This is the gameplay loop for all the nights. And we'll be dealing with Rachel the Rabbit and her shadowy counterpart, Doug the Dog, Pete the Pig, Bane the Bull, Ray the Raccoon, who works similar mechanically to Foxy, and The Thing, who is the marionette that is trapped inside that mysterious box. Last but not least, there are two versions of this game, and we'll be looking at both. Starting off, let's talk about the title screen. So the title screen has Rachel and Doug between some curtains, and these two animatronics flash back and forth, switching places. But what the player can't see is that these two models are stored vertically right on top of each other. So whatever model you see first, right beneath it is the opposite model. And if we move the camera back, you can see this plain as day, as they are switching places. But sometimes this teleporting between the two locations can cause the models to glitch out, as their geometry gets stretched out super far out of bounds. There's also a weird section of ground just off camera as well, that normally cannot be seen. So upon booting up the game, we are thrown into our office. But let's take a look around this room, because we normally can only see it from a fixed perspective. So we can get a closer look at the daily news bulletin on the wall, which is something you can normally read in-game at higher screen resolutions. But then we have this photo of Pete the Pig and a bulletin board. On this bulletin board is a ripped note that says 9 rules for personnel of U.S. Military Assistance Command, Vietnam, which is actually a real-life historic note that soldiers carried in the Vietnam War. On the other side of the board, we can find 2 photos from the Vietnam War as well, specifically the destruction of a bridge on Route 19 and the Long Tieng Airport. My apologies if I messed up the pronunciation. There's also an Outstanding Service Award plaque for Sergeant Francisco Laguana, which makes me believe all this Vietnam stuff came from an asset pack, as this same plaque can be found in other games like the FPS survival game Scum. Now, just behind our desk is something really creepy. It's The Thing. Directly behind that Pete poster, out of bounds, right beyond the wall, is the marionette, The Thing, and it is way taller than this room, and finding it back here is very unsettling. So if you're curious about the facility, this is what the entire map looks like from above. We'll be traveling around this area in just a second, but it's neat seeing this from this perspective, because we only ever stay in those 2 rooms and look through cameras. So let's fly around this place. So first off, we have the curtain room, and behind the curtains is this giant box. Now you may be curious, but inside the box is nothing. The Thing is not stored inside the box. As you saw, he was stored behind the wall in the office, but the box does have an interior and it is textured. So now we can head back through our office and head into the far hallway. This is the south hallway in terms of how it matches up with the camera system. If we take the double door hallway off to our right, this leads to an in-between space that isn't fully modeled, but it does connect back to our office. From here, we can head into one of the arcade rooms, which is known as Arcade Room 2. There's knocked over cabinets and stuff, and we can find some paper notes on the ground. We have some more filler documentation from real life, and this time it looks like a Lithuanian police report about a UFO sighting in 1996. This is an unclassified document that's publicly available on CIA.gov, whereas the document beneath it is an NSA court case document next to a routing slip. Heading out of the arcade, we come into the East Hall, another area that a camera looks over. This is what the hallway looks like, and we're going to head into the raccoon's hut where Ray normally resides. So there's pointy grass all around and another warning sign. But as we head inside the hut, we can see that Ray starts off clipping through the wall. We can see that his left arm is actually sticking through the wall and coming outside of the building. Now here is the actual security cam footage, which is from up above, and as you can see, we cannot see his arm in the shot. Something else that is kind of funny is that the warning signs have reverse textures on the back. So if you were to fly around and look at the back of them, you'll see the same message but mirrored upside down. And this applies to both warning signs, the one by the hut and the one in the hallway prior to entering the hut room. So as we move back through this hallway, the next area that we come to is the dining room, which has the stage. And this room looks a lot more chipper with the lights on. So if we check out the tables, they have these balloon fixtures upon them. And all the balloons have a baked reflection on them that does indeed reflect the room, but the reflection doesn't match the angle we're currently looking at it with, given it is static and it can only rotate, so to speak. Of course, it's not a party unless the Department of the Army from the USA is involved, and we can find confidential documents scattered around the party space. Nothing like a top secret, redacted document that is, just the script for the 1986 movie Labyrinth. Top secret indeed. There's a lot of other documents like this too, ranging from court cases to other legal docs, so we'll move on to some other stuff. While we're up here though, we can of course take a look at all the animatronics up on the stage, and of course we can also check out the adjacent arcade area. And as you can see, this is of course the biggest room so far, as it is the main entertainment area for this facility. So if we take the double doors to the south, we'll end up in the south hallway that we started in. Now I bet you're all curious about the bathroom area, because the camera for the bathroom does not actually work. And in some ways, it's probably a good thing because a camera in the bathroom is kind of creepy, but when we try to pull up the camera in-game, we just get this black, staticky screen. And if we try heading through those doors to the bathroom, we'll find out that the bathroom itself does not exist. These doors do not lead to a new room, they just lead to the edge of the map. So unfortunately, there is no bathroom. However, from out here, we can see some other things. And for starters, in the party hall, there's a speaker that is clipping through the wall. Now, of course, you cannot see this in the security camera, nor can you see that there's a copy of Pete the Pig T-posing underground beneath the stage. I'm not sure why he's here, but he's surely not the only animatronic like this, because I haven't told you about the monstrosity beneath the office area where your character is. Underneath you out of sight are the jump scare models of all the animatronics. This even includes the shadow version of Rachel. They're all stored beneath the floor, ready to attack the player the second they lose the game. And as you can see, they're all pushed together into this giant clump, and they look very, very strange. And besides this blob, there's also another copy of the Thing down here too, and it's laying sideways. Now, you've probably also noticed something else in the background too, and that's the final cutscene room in the game. Upon clearing Night 5, we see this bedroom where the Thing eventually jump scares us, but that room is actually stored on the same map down below. We can even find the Thing inside of it, just sitting there in the corner of the room. So outside the door, there is nothing, but there is another Vietnam reference on the wall with the map of Saigon, which was the former name of Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. Again, my apologies on the pronunciation. So next up, we're going to take a look at the jump scares, and I have two of them to show off, and one of these took a very, very long time to get. I'm talking like an hour for like one shot. So first off, we have the Thing, and as you can see, the Thing will warp in and clip through the ground by the chair, where the jump scare will trigger. This dude is too tall for the room, but because of the fixed camera angle, it doesn't matter because we'll never see his bottom half. And next up, we have the more exciting one, and this is Doug. So as Doug approaches the room, we can find him behind these black panels that act as shadows for the hallways. And as you can see, he's right up against it. So now we're going to change our camera angle to show you down below. So of course, in this cluster of animatronics, you can find a copy of Doug in here. And as Doug warps in front of the player, clipping through the ground, initiating his jump scare, we'll then realize that the Doug down below is now gone, as these are all the jump scare models that are used for the animations. And we can see Doug moving ever so slowly, going through his jump scare animation, and then slowly punching us in the face. So all the jump scares are relatively the same. They all appear and they clip through the ground just like this. So real quick, these are all the models that are in the game of the animatronics. We can find them all in their default poses, and I want to show these off because we're going to compare them to the hardcore versions in just a sec. So like I mentioned earlier, alongside the original game launching, there was a hard version as well, and this hard version got a different treatment. The map itself was a bit darker and tinted with red lights, making it feel more sinister. So the game is mostly the same, except all the animatronics, as you can see, look a bit more withered and cursed. So as we fly around this backstage, you can see that all these animatronics have red eyes, and their textures on their models look like a cross between like a withered animatronic and the phantom ones from Five Nights at Freddy's 3. So they're definitely more creepy this way. And those red eyes are actually carried over to both the Thing and all the jump scare models beneath the floor. Shadow Rachel even has glowing red teeth, which is kind of interesting. The only animatronic on this map that is not fully changed is the copy of Pete the Pig that is beneath the stage T-posing. This one is upgraded in terms of textures, but the eyes do not glow red. This is probably because this version of Pete plays no role in the game at all. But with that, that is everything I could find out of bounds and off camera in Those Nights at Rachel's. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe right now if you did. And of course, I'll see you all soon in the next one. Cheers!